Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a very different kind of video for me. Not just because we're filming outside. It is a 92-degree day here in Chicago, so why not enjoy it? Besides, I can't get that in my living room. But that's not the big difference. The big difference is this video is a confession that I am not perfect. After doing this for 20 plus years, I still make mistakes. This is my mistake. Go ahead, Dodge and Ford guys, make your jokes. I know it's a Chevy. Okay, you done? Fine. That's not what made it a mistake for me. So I'm going to learn from this mistake. I'm going to show you why it was a mistake, show you how we got here, and show you what I plan to do about it. So I bought this at an auction. It was a third-party vehicle. It wasn't bought directly from the insurance company, so I figured somebody bought it and doctored it up a little bit. How did I know this? That headlight is for a 1500. That's why it's got that black bar in the center. That bumper doesn't have parking sensors, an option this truck has. And that fender is white on the inside. Not to mention all the airbags were cut out, pretty standard for people that are trying to hide damage. But I planned for all that. I even planned for that suspension to have been changed, because these things usually get hit in the suspension and it rips it off, which usually damages the frame. You can't straighten the frame on these. Okay, I take that back. You're not supposed to straighten the frame on these. It's not the correct way to repair these. That's not to say there aren't people out there doing it, because there definitely are. So I kind of counted on putting a frame on it, and because that door doesn't close, I kind of figured there might be some damage at the bottom of the cab. All stuff that doesn't bother me at all. I've done it before, and actually, on that truck, I put a cab on it, I put a frame on it. That was 100,000 miles ago. Been a great truck for me. Coincidentally, I think it's laughing at me because that truck was supposed to replace it. But anyway, back to my little mistake here. Let's see how bad it is. Okay, so here's where the doctoring begins. This was welded, cracked all the way through and welded back together. Junk, can't use it. You can see they heated the frame here to try and stretch it back out a little bit. This frame rail is still about 6 inches shorter than it should be. Also, doesn't bother me. A frame is a frame. I don't care if it was bent in 100 places, or these usually bend right back here and they collapse right here. Not necessarily crinkled up like this, but this is where they're supposed to collapse when they get hit, so when you pull the suspension back, they fold in. It's not as much as back as it is in, but that will shorten the wheelbase, cause alignment problems, what have you. So the frame has to be changed. Or if you really want to try to repair it, you can change the front half, which labor-wise ends up being just about as expensive as just replacing the whole frame itself anyway. So even that wasn't too bad, but it gets worse. So this torsion bar won't fit in there. So what did they do about it? They put a bearing in there to help the truck sit a little bit more level. This fender has nothing holding it on. It has one bolt actually up at the top. That's the only bolt holding the fender on. As you can see, it's white. I could see that in the auction pictures. Actually, the front of the fender is held on by a Phillips screw. The headlight is held in by a couple more screws mounted in some plastic. The bottom of the fender is held on by some wire. Also the wire holding the fender on. Then they decided the Phillips screw must have been a little bit more secure. That right there is the old bumper bracket. There's the new bumper bracket. They're hanging out together. We're gonna pull this bumper off. I'll be able to see a little better. I can only imagine there's probably about 3 bolts in it, if that many. This is the bottom of the cab. That's a cab mount. You can see the frame is pretty bent back there behind the cab mount. So the rocker is kind of caved in. Still nothing I did not expect. It might be hard to see, but there's a bunch of Bondo in that quarter. You can kind of see it if you follow the body line here. Where did it go? Oh, there it is. So this whole area here is just solid Bondo. And they couldn't even tape it off when they primed it. So this bedside is no good. It's not worth fixing. We just replace it cheaper. To give you an idea of the force of the impact on this thing, that pin sheared off the receiver and the hitch is now jammed in the receiver with nothing holding it in except for it's wedged in right here. It also bent it pretty good. That's where the dent in the bumper came from, when the trailer came off, I would imagine. Okay, the first thing I was not expecting was an inspection port on the transfer case. Actually, 2 of them. Don't worry, it gets worse. It appears the transmission also has one of those inspection ports. It's completely broke free from the motor. The flywheel kind of looks like a pretzel. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to disconnect the trans from the motor. I'm going to pull those bolts out of the flywheel, see if I can't get it started. A lot of people are going to say, why don't I try to get my money back? Well, here's why. It was my responsibility to inspect the vehicle before I purchased it. Now, it was 500 miles away. That doesn't always work. I could pay somebody to inspect it, but with the number of cars I've bought over the years, I would have lost more money than if I just throw this truck away now. So in the long run, I'm still ahead. Besides, I do like a challenge. My challenge on this one is be getting out of this and not losing any money, maybe even making some. So now that I've told you everything that's wrong with this truck, let me tell you what's right with it. It's a 2015, it's got 40,000 miles on it, so it's worth a little bit of money. I got a lot of good parts. I got mostly a good bed minus the bed side on the other side. I got a tailgate, I got taillights. I have 2 wheels and tires, a rear end. I got right front suspension, 2 good doors on this side, and a usable door on the other side. I have an aftermarket exhaust and a good interior. I did get the motor to turn over, not start. I jumped the starter, it spun over. I'm pretty confident it's a good motor. The block was fine around the motor mounts. The motor mounts just shredded. Even though the truck took a hard hit, blocks are pretty resilient, and unless they crack, they're usually good. I've actually bought cars that the motors came separate and went into other cars and kept going down the road for another 100,000 miles. So I do have some options with this truck. I can part it out and get my money back. That being said, I don't necessarily want to part it out. I'd actually like to fix it. And the main reason I want to fix it is when it's all finished, I want to drive it down to the people that doctored it up and stuck it in the auction and show them what they could have done with it, with a little bit of effort. They put a lot of effort into trying to hide the damage on this car. Why not just fix it the right way? Maybe I'll have a video and I can ask them. So I'm not totally sure what I'm going to do with this. It's really determined by what I'm able to buy at the auction as far as parts cars or rebuilders. The one thing I can guarantee is you guys are going to see a lot more of this generation of GM truck on my channel, at least for a little while. So if that's something you want to see, hit that subscribe button. If you just want to see how I get myself out of this little mess, hit the subscribe button. Share the video if you think somebody else might like it, and hit the like button if it's something you like. And always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.